You know, there's the old saying, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? You can't get something for nothing. Everything has its price. That's the American way. That's the way of the world. But it's not God's way. And we see that so beautifully and so powerfully in today's readings today. You know, we start with our dear Lord. And how does he conclude this gospel? I tried to emphasize the words because I thought they were really important. He says, without cost, you have received. Without cost, you are to give. All is grace. All is God's love. You know, the translation of the word grace is this: undeserved kindness. It's not something we earn. It's not something we work for to justify ourselves before the Lord. He looked upon us and he loved us. And we see this so beautifully and so powerfully in what might be the most important words St. Paul ever wrote. And he wrote a lot of important words in our Bible. He says, brothers and sisters, Christ, while we were still helpless, yet died at the appointed time for the ungodly. Us, all of us, and all those folks wandering around the streets of Hingham and around the world. And he goes on and says how deep, how powerful, how amazing that love is, how incomprehensible. Even for a person with the intellect and spiritual depth of St. Paul, what does he say? He says, indeed, only with difficulty does one die for a just person. Though perhaps for a good person, one might even find courage to die. But God proves his love for us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. We're not worthy in and of ourselves, but that's okay, because he makes us worthy. You know, if you're watching that beautiful scene in The Chosen, you remember when Jesus is going to heal and raise the little girl, the 12-year-old girl who has died. He's going to raise her from the dead. And as he's on his way there, this woman who's been suffering with a flow of blood for 12 years, and she's a complete pariah in the community, because under the Levitical law, if you were ritually unclean and someone touched you, they became ritually unclean too. And she says, if I just touch him, I'll be clean. And so Jesus turns the whole thing upside down, because under the old way of doing things, as set forth in the law of Moses, if you were touched by someone who was ritually unclean, you became ritually unclean too. But when this woman touches Jesus, he doesn't become unclean. She becomes clean. And she's washed clean from all of the things that separate her from the community, all that separate her from all the people who pushed her away. She's restored. She's refreshed. She's renewed. Why? Because she touched Jesus and he healed her. And he can do the same for us. And he can do the same for our loved ones and all those people that maybe we feel like are separated from the Lord in some way. Maybe by indifference, maybe by habitual sin, maybe by misunderstanding. And please God, but I know this is true, maybe by my bad witness. Maybe sometimes when people see me, and they think this guy's holier than thou. He thinks he knows everything. He thinks he's got all the answers. But I see his life. I know what kind of person he is. So maybe I don't want any part of that, Jesus. And isn't that the worst nightmare for all of us? We need to come to the Lord with humility. We need to come to the Lord understanding that this great gift of his love has been freely given to us. It's a free gift, there for the taking. Remember what Isaiah says. Come, all you who are thirsty, and drink, without money, without cost, without price. God's love is free for the asking. And you don't have to get right first. You come to him to get right. He fixes you. He heals you. I've seen it again and again and again. People whose lives are so broken, they're almost beyond repair. They are beyond repair by our standards. But then you meet them, and they have that encounter. Somehow, in some way, everyone's story is different, and everything falls into place. The problems don't go away. That doesn't wipe away our problems. This isn't like a divine vending machine where we go there and we say we want this, this, and this. But he walks with us. He accompanies us. And he carries us. And he shows us the way to live. And he shows us the way to love. It's such an amazing gift. It's so beautiful. But there's such a great need out there, isn't there? And that's why what we see in today's gospel is so powerful, both in the time in which Jesus was walking the face of this earth and today. What does he do? He looks upon the crowds. He looks upon the people that are hurting, that are lost, that are broken, that are confused. Sound familiar? And he looks upon, he says, I have pity on these people. They're like sheep without a shepherd. They need a shepherd. They need me. They need Jesus. But they need something else. They need us. Look what he does. He sends out the apostles, all of them, with all their imperfections. He sends out Peter, who denied him. James and John are always fighting to be in the first place. Matthew, the tax collector, and this is written by Matthew when he writes that. He even sends out Judas Iscariot to spread the gospel. If that's the first group, my brothers and sisters, then, hey, no problem. We can do it too. And we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, and all things are possible with God. But without him, we can do nothing. So we need to stay close to him, and that requires great humility. And understanding that we didn't earn this. We aren't smarter than other people. We aren't better than other people. We're not. We're not. We have been given this beautiful gift of his love. Which is there for everybody, but we received it. And it's changed us. And so we go forth and we give it to others. Without cost, you have received. Without cost, you are to give. So when we approach others, we want to approach others with incredible humility. St. Peter says it so beautifully. He says, always be ready to give a reason for the hope that you have. But do it with gentleness and respect. We don't beat people over the head with our Bibles. We don't text them that we're smarter than them. We listen to their stories. We walk alongside, we support them, we provide them with all kinds of different comforts. Material, for sure, emotional, psychological, spiritual. We want everyone to know what that woman who was struck with that flow of blood knew. That she wasn't alone, and that she was worthy of God's love, and that she could be restored. Everybody needs to know that. Everybody needs to know they're not alone. Everyone needs to know that they're loved. Everyone needs to know that their worst moments are not their story. They're part of their story, to be sure, because we're human. But they're the first step on the road back to the Lord. Because sometimes we're most broken. That's when we realize we can't do it on our own. We need his help. And it's so beautiful. You know, when you think about these gospels, sometimes they can be stunning for us. He loves us so much. You know, maybe a lot of folks don't hear that. They think about the world and how they live in it, and they feel beaten down. But we're not alone. We're loved. For even in our our worst moments, the Lord looks upon us just as you parents, as we look upon our children, right? Just come home. Just come home. Don't figure the rest out. We just want you home. We want you to go. The Lord is calling all of us home. He's calling. And He's calling all of our loved ones and all the people out there in the world that are struggling in so many ways to come home. Feel you have received. Feel you